Now, was the plan always with you and your sister that eventually you all would have your own individual careers?
I don't think we thought it would be in the cards this soon, to be honest. I know we'd always make jokes like Halle would say, "Man, you're going to be the biggest pop star." And I'd tell her, "Man, you're going to be the biggest movie star." So we saw where our directions were headed. And when I would be a little girl, like I would dance in my room for hours. Like I had my own concert with my own dancers because I really love to dance. And when Halle had to go off to London for the Little Mermaid, and it was like weird travel restrictions because of the pandemic, that was that was the first time we ever were apart from each other. So us over a span of like 2.5, 3 years, we didn't see each other as much as we have all our lives. And because of that, we were forced to get comfortable with the feeling of us being on our own, which was really hard. We both had separation anxiety. We both had moments of self-doubt where I felt like I couldn't do anything without her, and she felt the same. I remember she'd call me on set and we'd be on FaceTime and we wouldn't even say anything. I would just be there on the phone so she knew I was there while she was filming. And I think we just needed each other, as we've always had each other as our anchors. So it was really scary. And for me, I didn't know what to do with myself without her. I was shooting Grownish and going home, and I felt so unfulfilled, and I was creating music and beats, but I didn't feel like there was a direction or a path or a purpose to what I was doing every day. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna I'm gonna take these sad songs that I'm writing, and I'm gonna put into a project for the time being. And that's how it sparked.
Mhm. So, if you said that it came sooner than you thought, you guys, sort of separating and following your own individual paths. So, how did you know it was the right time?
I feel like God will tell me. Like I was creating this project for 3 years. I put random songs out, but the project didn't come out till now. And I just trust God and just trust the timing. And even with everything that's been going on the past month and a half, I didn't know when Storm was coming out. I didn't know when Praise This was coming out. Praise This was delayed for 2 years. And I'm like, okay, God, I hear you. All of these things are lined up perfectly. And then I go on tour for the album. And I'm like, I couldn't have put together a better plan for my life than God above did. So I just learned to trust. I just keep my head down and I work and I just trust and I go with the flow. I go with the flow.
So, as you mentioned, Halle is the new Little Mermaid. Um, uh, how did you feel when she landed that role?
When she first got the offer to audition, I knew she was gonna get it. She was like, "Me? Like I don't look like what people think Ariel looked like." I was like, "No, you embody Ariel, from her voice to her beautiful eyes to her soft strength to her sweetness. That's very Ariel. She didn't have to change herself to become this character." And when I saw her at the screen test, I cried because it was like, it was it. It was it. And I don't think anyone's voice could sound closer to a siren than hers. So I'm just incredibly proud of her. And knowing how hard she worked for the past 3 years, from the swimming lessons with her tail on to, the workouts early in the morning, to being alone overseas, to all of that. That's why she has Poseidon, because we got her the cat so she felt less alone because she didn't have her siblings to cuddle on because we were in the States. I am just so incredibly proud of her. And I'm happy that she did this film because she was finally able to stand in her own power and her strength and realize that she is just as special on her own. And I think we both had to realize that we're still special individually and together. And from that, I think that's what makes us stronger when we're together, because we're strong from every angle now. And I just can't wait to see how many Black girls lives she's going to change just by them seeing that they can be anything that they want to be because she did it.
Mm. Yeah, as you just said, like individually, the strength that you all carry. Um, but do you all have any plans or thought about reuniting for another album at some point?
Absolutely. We always talk about that. And while we were both in LA for, I think, 2 weeks at the same time, we got in the studio. I had Apollo, my kitten. She had her cat beside it. We made a song and we're like trying to create virtually, but I think we'll really dive down into it once we're in the same place at the same time for a minute. So it's definitely coming. It's not the end of us whatsoever.
Mm. Well, with your own solo project, what would you say gave you the most anxiety about In Pieces?
It's thinking that people wouldn't get it, they wouldn't care. My anxiety came from the outside and me doubting myself and saying, what if they don't like my voice tone? What if they don't like the way I sing? What if this? What if that? And once I got out of that and just focused solely on creating and the art, I had the best time. And my favorite parts of creating this album would have to be the first year and the last year. The second year was a lot of creative blocks because that was after Have Mercy. I was in my head about what people wanted from me. When I would drop little snippets or teasers online, people would find something negative about it, even down to Light Flex saying I make empire music. But even now, after I released my album, now people are like, oh, she should have put Light Flex on there. And I just cared so much about what people thought. And even told you when I teased that online last year, people said it was shit. And knowing now that they love it because they heard it in its full context, and of course the iconic Missy Elliott is on it, I think people get it now. And art takes time for people to understand and to get, and not everybody's gonna like the same thing because it's art. It's all about
Mm.
perspective. Not everyone's gonna see or hear music the same way. So I think what gave me the most anxiety was my self-doubting and thinking that I couldn't do something, or doubting the gift God gave me. And once I just shed that and just focused on creating instead, because that'll never really go away, that's when everything opened up.